So we'll read from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 13, page 89. Page number 89, famous verse. So we'll begin by repeating each word of the Sanskrit. So please repeat after me. Dehina asmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhiraha tatra na muyati dehinosmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati dehinosmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati dehinosmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati
Dehinosmin yada dehe Komaram yovanam jara Tadha dehantara praptir Dhiras tatra na muhyati
Dehinosmin yatha dehe Komaram yovanam jara Tatha dehantara praptir Dhiras tatra namuyati
Dehinosmin yatha dehe Komaram yavanam jara Tatha dehantara praptir Dhiras tatra namuyati
Dehinosmin yatha dehe Komaram yovanam jaram Tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati
Dehinosmin yatha dehe Komaram yovanam jara Dehantara praptir Dhiras tatra namuhyati
Dehinosmin yatha dehe Komaram yavanam jara Tatha dehantara praptir Dhiras tatra namuyati
Dehinosmin yatha dehi Komaram yovanam jara Tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati
Dehinosmin yatha dehi Komaram yavanam jara Tatha dehantara praptir Dhiras tatra namuhyati
Dehinosmin yata dehe Kaumaram yavanam jara Tata dehantaram praptir Dhiras tatra namuhyati.
Dehinosmin yata dehe Kamaran Yuvanum Jara Tata Dehantara Praptir Dhir Tarat Nan Mahudati.
Dihinosmin yatara dehe Kumaranim yuvahajara Tahadiha tara praptir Durastatra namat yata.
Dehinosmin yata dehe Kaumaram yavanam jara Tata dehantara praptir Dhiras tatra namuhyati.
Dehinosmin yata dehe Kamaram Yavahanjara Tata Dehantara Praptir Dhiras tatra namuyati.
Okay, word meanings.
The word meanings. Dehinaha, of the embodied. Asmin, in this. Yata, as. Dehe, in the body. Komaram, boyhood. Yovanam, youth. Jara, old age. Tata, similarly. Dehantara, transference of the body. Praptihi, achievement. Dhiraha, the sober. Tatra, thereupon. Na, never. Muyati, deluded. Translation. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Purport. Since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change.
I'd like to comment here. The Sanskrit language, we can note, has two words. Deha means the body, and Dehi means the inhabitor of the body. Note that. That Sanskrit language is a very advanced language because it incorporates not only material words to describe material phenomenon, but it includes words that describe supernatural phenomenon, such as the inhabitor of the body. In the West, we often don't think like that. The prevailing view at the present time is that life is something unknown. How life comes about, no one knows. That's what they think. They think that life is a combination of chemicals, of matter. If you ask anyone, what is life? They cannot say. How does life come about? They cannot say. But then they do say, even though they admit they don't know, on one hand, but then they say in a book that at a certain time, the material elements come together and comes alive. But they don't really understand it, because if they understood it, if they understood what life was, then when there's an absence of life, when someone dies, we should be able to take the life ingredient and insert it back again. Or, if we don't admit that there is a life ingredient, we should be able to find out the material substance that's missing and make it come to life. Just like with an automobile. If the automobile doesn't start, an expert mechanic, he does his diagnosis, electronic diagnosis or whatever, and he can say, spark plugs. Takes out the old spark plug, puts in a new one, and it works. So if this body is a machine, which everyone knows it is a machine, a very sophisticated machine, if it's only a machine made of material elements, and that's what's causing the life, the combination, then we should be able to fill in the missing material part. That's the problem. That's why it's not working. Because we have excluded the concept that there may be a supernatural, spiritual person that's different than the body. Deha, Dehi. Deha means the body, Dehi means the possessor of the body, the driver. When we have airplanes, we don't think that airplanes run by themselves. They have to have a driver. The airplane may cost millions of dollars, but it doesn't run by itself. Even if it's run by remote control, there's still a person, has to be the driver. This is why we need Bhagavad Gita, to explain this in simple terms. And who's explaining? Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super authority, who knows everything, the original person, everyone's dearmost friend, the father of all living entities. He's the perfect one to explain it. And he's explaining it to his friend and student Arjuna, and we're able to hear that discussion. And if we hear it when it's explained properly by a bona fide spiritual master, then all the important questions in life are completely solved. Such as, who are we? If someone says, well, I'm this body, I weigh 150 pounds, that's you? Is that you that weighs 150 pounds? What if you go on a diet and you lose 40 pounds? So now it's not 150 pounds, it's 110 pounds. Is it you? Is it the same person? Yes, it's the same person, it's a different body. So the body is different than the driver of the body, the Dehi. That's who we are, we're the Dehi. We're not the body, we're not the vehicle. When you get in your automobile and you drive it, you don't become the automobile. If you get in your Toyota, you don't think, now I'm a Toyota. That would be a form of insanity if somebody went around thinking, I'm a Toyota. We would say, this person has gone too far. He's become insane now. He thinks he's a Toyota. But that's the world we're living in. Everybody thinks, I'm an American, I'm an Indian, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm black, I'm white, I'm a black Toyota, I'm a white Toyota, I'm a white American, black. These are all describing the body, the vehicle. They're not describing the Dehi. But where are you? Who are you? You're not this body, because when you were conceived by your mother, you had a little tiny body this size. Now, where's that body now? You say, well, it grew. No, it didn't grow. It's changed. Every cell is changed. You have a completely different body. So how could you be the body if the body's completely different than what you had before? Vedic science explains that the body changes at every moment. Any thoughtful person could understand that, because the aging process is taking place. The body I have this second is different than the body I had a second before, because it's aged. Right? Everyone agree with that? Otherwise, there would be a skip in time. We may say, it doesn't look any different. It doesn't look any different, but you can't trust your eyes to give you such important knowledge. You can't just base it on your eyes. Our eyes cannot see such subtle changes. The aging process. They do the time-lapse camera. They have someone sit in front of a camera every year and take a picture, and then you can see, well look, it's changing. But if you just sit there and watch with your eyes, you can't see the changes. But it's changing, it's aging. Old cells are going out, new cells coming in. So many things. The water moves up here, the air comes. Every time you breathe in, it's a whole nother tank of air. And the old tank is removed. That means there's some reason why it's removed. It's removed because it doesn't work anymore. It's fulfilled its responsibility. Now it's time to expel it in a new air. So we're not this body, we're the soul living within. And that soul is not made of matter. That's why no one can see it. Someone will say, well, where is the soul? I've never seen one. Yes, because it's very small. And not only is it small, but it also happens to be a completely different energy that can't be seen by material eyes. But it's certainly there. You can tell it's there, because when it is there, the body, the vehicle has consciousness. It thinks, speaks, reproduces, digests, expels so many things. But when the soul leaves the body, when there's no soul in the body anymore, it's a dead corpse. Doesn't speak, no blood is flowing through the veins. It's a dead carcass. So that is the important thing to understand. That is who I am. I'm that soul. I'm that Dehi. I'm the driver of this body. That's the first thing we need to know. Otherwise, our life is going to be a big mess. How can we possibly have a successful, fruitful life if we don't know who we are? If you're on the street and a policeman says, excuse me, let me see your ID, please. I don't know. I don't know who I am. I say, all right, come on. You have to be put in prison. just for not knowing who you are. At least until they find out. Then you're put under the care of someone else. So how is it that the whole world doesn't know who they are? Everybody's thinking they're the body. Everyone's thinking they're a Toyota. Now you understand why there's so many problems in the world? Individual problems, why we can't seem to be happy. How can we be happy if we think we're something that we're not? If we don't know who we are? What to speak of other questions like, okay, what am I here for? What about the universe? What about the bigger picture? Where did the universe come from? Why did the universe come? Is there some purpose to the universe, to nature? Do I have a role to play? Am I here for anything in particular? People try to give their lives meaning. They say, yes, I'm here to achieve something. But what? What are we here to achieve? I want to be the fastest human runner. Yes, these are also achievements, and we can give them some attention, but could it be that there's something even more higher than just our material goals? To live a happy life or a long life. I want to live to be the 80s. I want to have children. I want to have a certain amount of money. But is there something more that we're supposed to accomplish here? Is there a bigger plan? If so, how do I find out about that bigger plan? Because I'm a spiritual being, I'm not the body, I probably won't be able to find it in material books. How can they tell about things they don't even recognize? They don't recognize supernatural beings. How can they possibly tell me what my real purpose in life is? What I'm supposed to do? How to be happy? We see even the biggest leaders, the people with the most money or the most power or the most beauty or what have you, they're not happy. At least they're not happy when they have to die. And probably sometime before they have to die, they also won't be happy. But at least they won't be happy then. Imagine you have so much money and opulence, and then suddenly you say, well, you find out the doctor says you have to die in 2 days. You say, well, couldn't I pay you something extra and you could extend my life? We don't like to die. Why don't we like to die? We don't like to die because we're not meant to die. The spiritual being doesn't die. Actually, there is no such thing as death, really. Because the spiritual being was never created. He's always existent. And he never dies. That's the nature of spirit, Atma. Never born, never dies. He always exists. And matter, earth, water, fire, air, ether, it never was alive. When was the earth alive? When was water alive? When was fire alive? It has no life, and it never will be alive. So there's no death for the matter, and there's no death for the spirit, for the Dehi. So this whole idea of death is an encumbrance, it's a misunderstanding of what's actually happening. However, death is taken as when the body stops working. That's not a very accurate description, but that's what you'll get. Well, the body, no, it doesn't work anymore. No consciousness there. Why? We don't know. How? We don't know. That's the modern scientific explanation. But Bhagavad Gita says, yes, there's a purpose. the individual spiritual beings are part and parcel of the Supreme Spiritual Being. And their duty is to serve and to love and interact with the Supreme Being and all the other living beings in a friendly, cooperative way. Why? Because the Supreme Being is in control. He's in charge. He's set it up like that. So when I say, well, I don't like it, it's not democratic. It's too autocratic, one person in charge. I prefer a voting system. That's nice, we may have our preferences. But our preferences don't count, really, as far as how things are set up. We're not that significant. We may like to think we are, but we aren't. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He set things up in a particular way, and it works well when there's cooperation. Okay, someone says, what's the proof? The proof is that there is another place. Parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakta vyaktat sanatana. There's another place, another sky, that is not created and annihilated like our material sky. Our material universe has a beginning and a middle and an end. But the spiritual sky doesn't. And everyone that lives there lives with the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happily. And they're living there eternally with no problems, no death, no old age, because there's no deha, material bodies there. It's all spiritual. Someone may say, well, but if it's all spirits, there must not be any variety. No, that's a misunderstanding. We misunderstand what spirit means. Spirit has everything that matter has in reality, whereas matter only has certain portions of the reality. I'll give you an example. An orange, the object, the orange, has juice, orange color, it has odor, it has texture, it has nutrients, so many things in it. But the reflection of an orange on a mirror, no, you don't get all the qualities of the real orange. If you think, that's okay, I'll eat the orange later in the mirror. No, you won't get any taste. You won't even be able to put it in your mouth. It doesn't have the oval, the circular shape. So, matter is subordinate to spirit. This material world that we live in is a reflection of the spiritual world, which has all the components, all the features. We're getting sound, but we're not getting Shabda Brahma, we're not getting spiritual sound here. We're getting only material sounds. So we get some enjoyment and some benefit from material sounds, but not the full, not the benefit that we get from spiritual sound. Or material food. We get some benefits from eating material food. The body keeps working, the mind works, I feel refreshed, my body's growing. But imagine how many things we're missing from that material food. We're not getting any food for the spirit. And I'm spirit, I'm the Dehi, I'm not this body. So if you give the body to the food, that's nice. That's like giving gasoline and oil and transmission fluid to the Toyota. But that doesn't do anything for me, the driver. I can't digest those things. What about me, the driver? So what are we doing for the spirit, for the soul? Where's the food for the soul? We're just giving food to the body. The soul wants to have not only food, but it wants to have sounds, it wants to have relationships, it wants to have knowledge, transcendental knowledge, all these things, all these experiences that we have in the material world are available on the spiritual platform in reality. What we're dealing with is an illusory reflection. That's why we're not satisfied. We're trying to eat the orange in the mirror. How are we going to get satisfaction out of that? No matter how you try it, you can say positive thinking. You can go to a seminar on positive thinking and I'll teach you. Just think about you're enjoying the orange in the reflection. So you try it. Okay, I'm not feeling any benefit from eating it, and so the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world, which is the full reality. And that's obviously that's where we need to be, because we are the Dehi. We're the spiritual supernatural being, persons inside the Deha, the body. But we're here now, so how to do that? How can I go to the other place? Well, Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita very nicely that there is a way to get there. And you can do it in one lifetime, this lifetime that we have. And Krishna describes this system as called Bhakti Yoga. If one practices Bhakti Yoga, he can perfect his consciousness. He can stimulate his transcendental awareness to the point where he can actually enter into the spiritual world, even while he's living here. He can have access. But it takes practice, and it begins with chanting. We were chanting here for some time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. There's many mantras. This is one of the mantras. This is considered to be the Maha Mantra, the great mantra for chanting. Transcendental sound vibration. We fill our soul with transcendental sound vibration. There's a big difference between she loves you, yeah, 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 and singing Hare Krishna, or Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. If you don't believe it, try chanting Coca-Cola sometime for a few hours and see how you like it. But we chant Hare Krishna for many hours, for years, and it gets better. If you chant Coca-Cola, it won't get better. And you won't subdue your thirst either. You just be disgusted. Material sounds don't have the same effect as spiritual sounds. So Bhakti Yoga is recommended, and it's a simple process, but it requires, as you would expect, if the gain is so great, then it requires quite a lot of effort. If you're going to get all your problems resolved, and you're going to get entrance when you leave this body, because the Dehi and the Deha don't stay together. We know the Deha is changing, the body is changing all the time. All the particles are going in and out. And at a certain point, this body, this Deha, will not be inhabitable anymore and will leave. The Dehi will go. Where does the Dehi go? Well, it depends on his desires. According to Bhagavad Gita, whatever one's desires are at the time of leaving the body, that's where he goes. That makes sense. If I'm at the airport and I can't make my decision, I'm trying to decide whether to go to Hawaii or Mexico. I'm trying to think, Mexico, Hawaii, Mexico, Hawaii. They say, sir, you have to make your decision now because the flight to Hawaii is leaving. All right, Hawaii. Here's my money, give me my ticket. There we go. So the desire you have at the time of leaving the airport, that's where you go. So where do you want to go? Well, most of us, because we're devoid of spiritual thinking and spiritual knowledge, and we didn't even know we were spiritual beings. We thought we were the body. So naturally we're thinking of doing the same things at the time of death as we were doing before. We think, oh, I wish I could live a little longer. I wish I wouldn't have to die now. So we get a body similar to what we're thinking, to our consciousness. Our consciousness carries, because the consciousness is very subtle, although it's material, but still it carries the soul, the little spiritual Dehi, to its next destination. And if the consciousness has been raised to the level of Krishna consciousness, then we're carried to the spiritual realm, where we get our spiritual form, and we're out of the prison of material existence. Why is it a prison? Because we have to keep dying here, changing bodies. This is an inconvenience. Changing bodies, dying, no one likes to do that. It's not a happy place. We try to do our best to make it happy. We have different ways of trying to bring ourselves happiness through tasting and sense gratification and mental speculation and acquiring knowledge, relationships, so many things. But we're like a fish out of the water. When a fish is out of the water, you can give him all those things that he likes, but he won't be able to enjoy them properly. Even the food is there. If he's not in the water, he can't properly eat it and enjoy it. So we need to be in that proper environment. And that proper environment is created by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. Those who have been practicing Bhakti Yoga, they can give their testimonies. You can ask them, is it different? Yes, it's completely different. Why is it different? Because now we're connected. Yoga means connection. We're connected with the spiritual dimension. We're no longer just in the illusion of thinking that we're the body. Now we're realizing we're spiritual and we're connecting with the spiritual world. Even though we're here in this material world, we can connect with the spiritual world through sound vibration and through the connection of Bhakti Yoga, loving devotional service. So everyone is invited to take up the practice of Bhakti Yoga. It's not difficult. It begins with hearing, as we're doing now. This is part of the process, so we understand what's going on. Hearing from authorities, and chanting, like chanting Hare Krishna, and eating spiritual food, associating with spiritual people, doing spiritual things. Spiritual things means they're in relationship with Krishna. For example, if I'm an artist, I like to paint pictures. So I can become connected with Krishna by painting a picture of Krishna or for Krishna. Then my activity, my work, my art becomes spiritualized. It's like putting an iron rod in a fire. The iron rod associates with the fire so closely that after a while it becomes red hot, just like the fire. And it actually becomes fire. If you touch that red hot iron to anything, it'll burn. So by associating with Krishna, and Krishna's associates and his entourage, his paraphernalia, everything in relationship with Krishna, one becomes Krishnaized. And completely, he's able to act on the spiritual platform. That's real liberation. We have so many other types of liberation that we're striving for, to liberate these people and liberate these animals and liberate. That's nice, but without real knowledge, we don't know how to liberate them, how to free them from the cycle of birth and death. Birth and death is for the material world. The spiritual world is eternal life, eternal bliss and knowledge. So that's what we should be aiming for. That's the message of the Krishna consciousness movement. That's the message of Krishna. And at least everyone can try it. Experiment with it for some time, maybe a few weeks or something like that. Try chanting. Try some of these practices. Try reading Bhagavad Gita. Try associating with devotees. Try tasting prasadam, spiritual food. See the difference. Thank you for your attention. Are there any questions? Yes. In the back.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Yes, I would like to ask if you can say something about what should be the best stage of consciousness for chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or how to develop or create this highest level of spiritual sound and to go really deep into the holy name.
Well, the chanting is working on the basis of transcendental sound. So the vibration works. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Prabhupada didn't, when he came, Prabhupada's our spiritual master, founder of the Hare Krishna movement. When he came to America, he didn't tell them, you have to think like this when you chant, or you have to think like that when you chant. So just chant. It'll do the work. It's the medicine. Einechio shadi maya nashibara lagi harinama mahamantra lao tumi magi. This is the medicine. We don't need to know in the beginning all the details of how the medicine works. Doctor says take the medicine. If you have faith that he's a good doctor, you take it, and it does everything, and you get cured. So this chanting is not a new thing. It's not just discovered in the 1950s or 1960s. This is eternal. This chanting has been eternally performed. And when you chant, you'll see, it delivers a consciousness that you don't get anywhere else from any other kind of sound vibration. You can compare it. You don't have to take anyone's word for it, just try it. You can try it privately. If you're a little shy, you don't like to do it publicly, so do it privately. All right, let me test this out. Test it out. But one thing we've seen, that generally people, you notice the number of chanters has been increasing. Have you noticed? In 1966, there was only one person, more or less, that was chanting in America. That was His Divine Grace. He brought the chanting. But now, how many people are chanting? Many. And every day more people chant. And the symptom is, that how long have you been chanting, Graham? Year and a half. And someone said, you wasted so much time chanting, what would you say? Yeah, he says the other. I've been wasting my time not chanting. How long have you been chanting? How long? 20 years. You could have made so much money with all that. How much time you wasted? You could have made so much more money. What do you think? Yeah, what good is money if you're not happy? If you got money but you're all full of anxiety and stress and grief and depression and all the things. So happiness is also an important feature of life. It's not that money is everything. Money is not everything. We have to be happy. So I don't think there's anyone here that started chanting and said, now I've been wasting my time, I'm not going to chant again. Generally they like it. Because it actually, it's even been clinically proven in, mundane experiments that chanting Hare Krishna has benefits, even material benefits. Of course, the material benefits are not what we're really searching for. That's not what we really need. We want the spiritual benefits. But the material benefits, such as peacefulness, calmness, more clarity, things like that, restful. Those are also nice things to get. Healthy, happy in the material world. But the real thing to get is the spiritual benefits. You get all. It's a complete package. You get the spiritual benefits, and you get the mental benefits, and you get the intellectual benefits, and you get the physical benefits. It's good for the body, it's good for the mind, it's good for the intelligence, and most importantly, it's good for the soul. This is what brings real happiness. Okay, other questions? Yes.
Maharaj, I have a small question. During the time of the great war of Mahabharata, when Krishna is giving the Bhagavad Gita message to Arjuna, what happened to the time, or what happened to the rest of the world? Or at least the people in the war, they were not able to hear or see Krishna, right? So what happened at that moment?
I didn't quite get the question.
He's asking while the Bhagavad Gita was being spoken, what was happening to the other people? They were
waiting. He's asking a question. It's a little off the topic, but we'll address it. There was this Bhagavad Gita. Look on the cover, please, if you don't mind. You'll see Krishna driving the chariot for Arjuna. That's on the battlefield. That's where this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So he's asking, while Krishna was speaking to Arjuna, what was going on? It took about an hour and a half. What were the other people doing? And we discussed this recently. Bhishma Dev was in charge. He was the commander-in-chief. Even if you say Drona, okay, Drona and Bhishma were in charge. They were so cultured and they were devotees of Krishna, even though they were on the other side. So they were polite enough to let Krishna and Arjuna have their discussion. Besides that, now the others on the other side, like Duryodhana, he wasn't polite. He would have preferred to just end it right now, fight and get it over with. But he also knew that if Arjuna stopped fighting, then there would be no battle because Arjuna was the main fighter. So Arjuna had dropped his bow, and the other people on the other side, they saw, oh look, he's put his bow down, Gandiva. Maybe he's not going to fight. He doesn't look, he's crying. Maybe he's going to leave. If he leaves, it's over. So they were waiting happily, hoping that Arjuna would not fight. And Bhishma and Drona were making sure that nobody shot any arrows. No fighting was started till Krishna wanted. So that they did wonderful service in that regard. Okay, we had some, yes.
what makes Krishna Bhagavan special as compared to the other personalities exhibited by Bhagavan, like Nrsimhadev or Vishnu?
They're all special. It's Krishna. He's asking another question slightly off the subject, but we'll address it. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But sometimes he appears, well, we should point out what Krishna looks like. This is a picture of Krishna, a painting of Krishna in the center. He is the one playing the flute. He's especially known as a great flute player, the greatest. So as you see, he looks like us, or maybe we look like him. We're created in the image of God. So that's his original form. But sometimes he has to appear in different types of forms because he has to do different services, different duties. For example, I'll just briefly tell you, there's another form over here. Can you see this form? You see the form of the person whose lap the other person is draped over? What do you notice about that person? Can you see? Maybe you can't see from there. He's a half man, half lion. He's not an all man or all lion. He's half man, half lion. And he had to appear like that because the demon, the father of this child, was harassing him and about to kill him with a sword. And he had gotten a benediction from demigod that he would not be killed by any man, any animal, any demigod in the day or the night, so many things. So he had that benediction, so Krishna had to appear in something that didn't fit in with his benediction, half man, half lion. So he appears in different forms to do different tasks that had to be done that way. I could explain more, but you get the point. Is that okay? They're all the same person. It's just he's appearing in a different way, just like the father. When the father is going to the office, what does he dress in? Suit, tie, this, that. And when he goes to the beach, he has shorts and he dresses differently, snorkel. Maybe he's going for a swim. Same person, different dress. Okay?
I wonder, has any scientist ever affirmed the existence of the soul? Or has any scientist ever affirmed the existence of the spiritual world?
Well, if he's just a material scientist, he would not be able to get direct perception. But there was a scientist, his name was Bigelow, in Canada in the 70s. He was a heart specialist. And he did so many surgeries on hearts, and when someone would die, he claimed that he had some kind of instrumentation that registered the leaving of some kind of particle. He didn't know what it was. So he claimed that. And there is certainly a possibility of something like that. People can, but again, the material senses and the extensions of the senses, such as the machines that we make, the equipment that we use to track things, are all meant for material things. They don't track spiritual things because they don't accept them. So it's difficult for them to perceive. But they may perceive. Actually, we're all souls, so it's not something foreign to us. It's not like this knowledge that I'm telling you something today, or Krishna is telling you something that you didn't know. You knew, but we forgot. And as soon as you hear it, it should resonate. Just like when a music note resonates with the same note you're on, the same vibration, then it makes sound. It should resonate, because we are souls. And all the things that Krishna says about souls make sense to us. The soul is not born. The soul never dies. The soul never grows old. The soul is not male or female. The soul is not American or Indian. The soul is transcendental. Transcendental means beyond the material realm. So it has to be perceived with transcendental senses. Okay, thank you for that question. Yes?
I was wondering how other types of yoga, such as dhyana yoga, karma yoga, or physical yoga, I'm not sure what the Sanskrit word for that is, hatha yoga, can augment bhakti yoga, and if any specific type is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita.
Krishna clearly recommends bhakti yoga. Bhakti amam abhijanati yavanyaschasmi tatvata. He says, I can only be understood by bhakti. So, he describes the others processes, but then he says at the end that I've described many different processes, and they all have their efficacy, but best thing is just engage in bhakti yoga, just surrender to me. So our time is short. We don't know how much time we have left. And we have to achieve a great accomplishment. We have to raise our consciousness from the material level to the spiritual level. We better really get on it. We already wasted, as who said? It was you. You said you wasted so much time. We've all wasted so much time with material things. And now we've got them ingrained in our consciousness. Sometimes things come into your mind that are disgusting. Where'd that come from? It's because we've been imbibing so many images, so many sounds, so many material associations, so many things. We're full of it. So now to get rid of it and to embrace the new spiritual, transcendental, purified consciousness, that's a task that takes some sincere effort. And we should start as soon as possible. Don't wait, because we don't know how much time we have.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes. Any other? Yes.
I continuously see that, I look around the world and see that everything is becoming more and more degraded, and society as a whole is becoming, a very degraded, horrible place. So I'm wondering how to have a good outlook when all you see outside is not good.
The outlook is you're going to do something about it. You're going to make it a better place. If you become transcendental in your consciousness, if you elevate yourself, if you become a transcendental, loving, spiritual person, you're going to be the best friend of all living entities. What a wonderful thing. What service you can give to all these living entities. You can do a wonderful service. So the devotee thinks, I'm insignificant, I'm not a great person, I'm not intelligent, I'm not a great renouncer, I'm not a spiritual, I'm not pure, but let me try to do the best I can, assisting my spiritual master in his mission. He has a big scheme. Just like, I'll give you an example, and I think we'll end on this point because we're going to have Arti in just a minute. If you're on a ship crossing the sea, and you reach some real rough storm. Everywhere you look, you see huge waves, rain, torrents, wind. You're completely bewildered. You don't know what to do. The captain says, "Bosun, pick up that rope. Tie it. No, tie her." You don't have time to speculate. You just do what he says. He knows how to get you through this storm. So you assist him. And you concentrate, you focus your mind. I'm just going to do what he wants me to do. That's my only hope. Tonna sandarshito datra dushtaram nishtatirsatam kalim satvahanam punksam karnadari varnamam. That means that we accept the spiritual master as the captain of the ship for crossing the ocean, the dangerous ocean of the Kali Yuga. So we're in the ship now. We have a good captain, Srila Prabhupada and his assistants. We can follow them and we'll be safe. We'll cross the ocean and we'll be able to save so many souls that are out there stranded at the same time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Danavir Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Now we will have Arti ceremony.